Natural. Okay, so Canto 2 is a beautiful 10 chapter canto. So it is all about definition of God, right? So the first step in God realization, the Lord in the heart, pure devotional service, how our heart needs to change, then the process of creation, the cause of all causes, then Purusha Sukta, confirmed, then incarnations. How many incarnations are there and what are their functions? Basically, there are 21 incarnations that are
Right.
mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then chapter 8, King Parikshit asks a certain set of questions. And chapter 9, answers are given. And then in chapter 10, we conclude that Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So if you go to chapter 1, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, your question is glorious because it's very beneficial to all kinds of people." Hmm?
Right.
So in Canto 1, Sukadeva Goswami is asking these questions. Right? So now the answers are being given by Sukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj is asking the questions and Sukdev Goswami is giving the answers. So text 2, those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters. Right? So there are
Yes.
so many subjects we talk about, cricket and politics and this and that. But that is not the important part. The lifetime of envious householder is passed at night in sleeping or sex, and in daytime in making money or maintaining family members. That's the story of almost all of the people on this planet. Then
Right.
text 4, persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into problems of life, which is what? Birth, old age, disease, and death.
Right.
Being attached to fallible soldiers like body, children, wife, husband, like that. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So we need to get out of this samsara. Hmm? So being too attached, there's some amount of basic responsibility you can have. But if you think that is be all end all of everything, that's wasted life. Then in the text 5, he says, O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries, what should they do? Must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul. And who can the controller and who is the savior from all miseries. We have three form miseries, right? What are they?
Right.
Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika,
Adi
three clashes.
आध्यात्मिक आदि दैविक आदि
Very good.
आदि भौतिक.
So then Sukdev Goswami says, what is the highest perfection? Achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to do what? To remember personality of Godhead at end of life. But unless we practice every day, we will not remember. Like many people were saying, right? Like one of Prabhupada's disciples was saying, when they were about to hit somebody in a car accident, that disciple apparently said, Jesus, Mary. So although he came into Krishna consciousness, he was still remembering the Christian tradition from where he came from. All of us will not even say that. We'll say something like, oh, that fellow is hitting us. Something like that, right? Just about
Right.
to get into car accident. So to remember personality of Godhead, because suddenly if somebody comes and hits our car, we could be dead in 1 or 2 seconds. So what does it tell us? We should always keep remembering so that if death hits us, it will come and hit us. That's fine. We are remembered Lord. Then in text 7 he says, O King Parikshit, mainly the top transcendentalists who are above regulative principles take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Definition of devotee is we are describing Tesham Satatayuktanam Bhajataam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. What is that? Last line. Chapter 10, right? In the middle. The Chatushloka Gita. So what are these devotees doing? They're always talking and conversing about me. Like that.
Right.
And then Sukdev Goswami says, end of the Dwapar Yuga, I studied this great supplement named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all Vedas from my father Dvaipayana Vyasadev. Right? And we are also learning in the same parampara of Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Sampradaya.
So in the text 9 he says, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by delineation of pastimes, who is described by enlightened verses. So Sukadeva Goswami is already in transcendence, but he
Still
got
attractive.
attracted to the personal form of the Lord and his pastimes. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of the Lord. So unless somebody is a devotee of the Lord, that knowledge is not given, should not be given. You should give some basic information, but this is given only to somebody who becomes serious about devotional life. So text 11, O king, constant chant the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities. He is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by transcendental knowledge. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajete purusham param. That's the verse. Right? So this is one of the important verses to be memorized. So here Akama sarva kama va is in different location, but here it is एतार निर्विद्यमानानाम् इच्छताम् अकूतो भयम् योगिनां नृपनिर्णीताम् हरेर नामानुकीर्तनम,
Kirtanam.
like that. So, like then in text 12, we're talking about what is the value of prolonged life which is wasted. Sometimes people will say, I'll go to doctor and extend my life. For what? Right? Better a moment of full consciousness, because this gives one a start in searching after his supreme interest. Because if you started the search, in the next life you'll continue the search. Otherwise, you'll pretty much start at zero again in next life. So the idea is there's no point in living a long life. Here the example is given. Some trees live like 300 years, 400 years. In California, we talk about trees which are like 1,000 years old. What's the use, right? Unless we are in consciousness of Krishna. So there's this King Katwanga who went to heaven, and then he was said, okay, only one moment of your life is left. What did
Right.
he do? He just said, okay, I will leave all material activities, take the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, like that. So
So, Prabhuji,
now,
here both Parikshit Maharaj's and Maharaj Khatwanga's example was given, as they were in full conscious, like they completely took to the Lord. They were still devotees and always had been remembering the Lord, but they specifically kind of gave up ev- all other activities and dedicated completely uh, to to uh,
yes,
to take shelter of the Lord.
yeah, those are the two good examples, right? Parishad Maharaj and Katavanga, because they realized, and we also know, right? Pretty much we know that the average age of life is only 70 years. We are halfway through, so we need to quickly accelerate and do this stuff. Otherwise, we'll be dead one day.
Hmm. So probably the moment of full consciousness is that after the time when one is completely surrendered.
No, complete surrender will come much later, but at least you are starting to surrender, right? That is the thing.
I see. Okay, okay, got it.
So he's saying, Maharaj Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals. Ritual here doesn't mean like the puja rituals. It is like the devotional service activities, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Then in 15, he says, at the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. One must cut off all attachment to material body and everything pertaining to it and all the desires thereof. We are all very attached, right, to the material body. But end of death is all preparation for the death. We should not be afraid of death. That's the point. One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, you should bathe regularly, sit down, duly sanctified. This is not like you'll do it right now, but there'll come a time when you will at the Vanaprastha stage when you leave home, like that.
Right.
After sitting in the above manner, make the mind remember the three transcendental letters Om, and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as to not forget the transcendental seed. So this is the
And the
Ashtanga
purport,
Yoga process, like the Omkara and breathing. But we are devotees. So what do? We chant Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
and we preach, and we preach to others. So our chanting is more around the Hare Krishna mantra and not the breathing process, but doing devotional service, which is preaching to others.
Okay.
18, gradually as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, right? So it is not like a one time binary yes no. Gradually we become spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and becomes fixed in full transcendental consciousness. So on text 19, therefore you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after the other, which is being deviated. Like you start at the feet, then the calves, then the knees,
Right.
then the thighs, then the waist. In this way, you go up from the bottom to top. There should be no other thing to be thought upon because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Right?
Right.
So, this is
Yeah.
talking about how to leave the body. So, transcendental letters Om and Hare Krishna mantra, progressive spiritualization, meditating on the body of the Lord. What happens once mind is always agitated by passionate mode of material nature? Passionate mode, this mode, what it does is it always agitates. Oh, what if I do this? Should I buy a home? Should I buy a car? This, that, always happens. And bewildered by the ignorant mode of nature. But one can rectify such conceptions by relation of Vishnu and thus become pacified by cleansing the dirty things created by them.
Then.
Right? By just Satatam Vishnu, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Nismartavyam na Jatuchit. Always think of Krishna or Vishnu, never forget him. There are only two instructions at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's it. So 21, O king, by the system of remembrance. See, this whole system is the system of remembering the Lord. And by being fixed in the habit of seeing the all good personal conception, one can soon attain devotional service to the Lord under his direct shelter. Then 22, the fortunate King Parikshit inquiring further said, O Brahmana, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied. Now, Sukdev is Parikshit is asking the question, how and where the mind has to be applied so that the dirty things can be removed. Because the Guru said we have to remove dirty things. Now he's asking, okay, now give me the technique.
Right.
Sukdev Goswami answered, one should control the sitting posture, regulating the breathing process by yogic pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord, called Virata Rupa.
And then they gave the description of Virat Rupa and 14 planetary systems
Yes, yes,
in
yeah,
analogy to the Lord's
correct,
Virat Rupa.
correct, correct.
We have actually read up to 28.
28, okay. Like that's why we are going quickly.
Sure, sure.
So, the
Yeah.
gigantic universal form of personality of Godhead within the body of universal shell, which is covered by 7 4 material elements, is subject for Virat conception, which is Bhumi Apo Nalo Vayu Kammano Buddhi Revacha. So, those are the different layers of the universal
Right.
form of the material world, literally. Persons who have realized it have studied that the planets known as Patala constitute the bottoms of the feet. Heels are Rasatala, ankles are Mahatala, and shanks
Right.
constitute Talatala. So, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala, like that.
Probably I had one question on that text 25, and I just wanted to confirm. Yeah, it's in the purport actually. Text 25. Just wanted to confirm whether it's not. I mean, it is not a spelling mistake, and it makes. I mean, there is a
Where?
meaning. So on text 25 purport, Prabhuji, there is um let me see. They see the They can only they can see only the circular sky overhead without any information that this universe, as well as many, it's basically the, yeah, that's the one. Yes, Prabhuji. Um, yes, Prabhuji. The later portion of the line are basically the next line are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumen, and material nature. So, firstly, Prabhu, isn't it eight? Like,
Yeah,
and then
in this case, he's only counting seven, like earth, water, fire, air, ether is sky,
those
ahankar
things
is
are also
ego,
not there. It's
and
like
yeah. So I don't know why he's only covering seven. It should be eight, like bhumi apo nalo vayu kamano buddhirevacha. Here he's not counting the mind. If you see that, he's not counting the mind.
and it's now noumen. No, sorry, noumenon. I couldn't understand if
We can look it up,
noumenon.
right? We can always look it up, and it will tell us what it is. As a thing, as in itself, as distinct from a thing as it's knowable by senses through phenomenal attributes. So something to be known is nominal.
Uh,
So there'll always be a few things from one Shastra to the other Shastra. There'll be slight changes, but here the mind is not counted for some reason. That's fine.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Guruji.
That's a lifelong research that we have to do.
Yes, sure.
Okay. And
Yes,
then
Guruji.
knees are Sutala, two thighs are Vitala, Atala, Vitala, hips are Mahitala, outer space is depression of his navel.
Yeah,
So in this way, but also Prabhupada says at one point that all these descriptions are for elementary knowledge. The full description is the personality of Godhead. So worship him as the person, not as material nature.
correct.
Otherwise, we'll never progress to higher standard. Right? We'll always be taking a term from material nature.
It's kind of Brahman,
Yeah,
a
it is
part of
Brahman
Brahman
realization.
realization. I believe.
So we want to move from Brahman to Paramatma to Bhagwan
Bhagavan.
realization. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Sabdyate.
Bhagavan iti iti shabda.
Right. So the chest is the luminary planetary system. Neck is Mahar planets. Mouth is Janus. Forehead is Tapas. Satyaloka is his head. But he also has 1,000 heads. So Sahasra Shisha Purusaha. His description is given a little bit in greater detail. Then arms are demigods headed by Indra. 10 directional sides are his ears. Physical sound is the sense of hearing.
Right.
Nostrils are Ashwini Kumaras. Material fragrance is sense of smell. And so in this way, all the devatas are given. Text 30, the sphere of outer space is Eyepits.
Yes.
Eyeball is the sun as the power of seeing. His eyelids are day and night. That's why sun will come and go, right? And the movements
Right.
of his
Right.
eyebrows, Brahma and similar supreme personalities reside. His palate, basically his tongue, is the director of water, Varuna, and juice is the essence of everything in
Everything
his
is
tongue.
done.
So in 31, they say that the Vedic hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord, and the jaws or teeth are Yama, god of death, who punishes the sinners. The art of affection is a set of teeth, and the most alluring, illusory material energy is his
Smile.
smile.
Mm.
That's why when the Lord smiles, you fall into Maya, right?
Oh,
Everything will be working fine, and suddenly the Lord will smile, and then we'll start making mistakes here and there. It's not easy. Every day you have to remind yourself you are not the body, you are the soul, that you are the servant of the Supreme Lord. Unless we remind this, We'll keep on forgetting many times.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The great ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance over us. See, this is what difference between materialist and spiritualist, right? Materialist thinks that this material nature has to be dominated. Spiritualist thinks that I am being stuck in Maya. Let me get out of it. So modesty is the upper portion, hankering is his chin, religion is the breast of the Lord, irreligion is his back. So backside, that's why you don't show to the deities also in the temple room.
Right.
Brahma, who generates all living beings, is his genitals, and Mitra Varunas are his two testicles. The ocean is his waist. Hills and mountains are stacks of his bones. So
Yes.
everything can be seen in relation to his body. But we don't see these individual things. We see the complete Maryada Purusha or the complete, Satchidananda Vigraha of the Supreme Lord. But all
Yes.
this description is there. Like what is what? Rivers are veins of the gigantic body. Trees are the hairs of his body. And the omnipotent air is his breath. The passing ages are his movements. His activities are reactions of three modes of material nature. 34. Are best among the Kurus, the clouds which carry waters are the hairs on his head. Termination of days and nights are his dress. And the supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. So, because of his intelligence, this material creation is happening. Mind is the moon and reservoir of all changes. That's why this word lunatic comes from lunar. If somebody
Oh,
is crazy, they say he's under the influence of the moon, even in Western tradition.
right, right.
Because the mind is the moon. His mind, not our mind. His
Mine
mind
is
will now bewilder our mind.
so the moon changes too much. Is that
Huh?
moon changes to like changes rapidly? Like
Changes rapidly, exactly.
that's why compared to the mind.
The principle of matter Mahatattva is the consciousness of omnipresent Lord, as asserted by experts. Rudra Deva is his ego. The horse, mule, camel, and elephant are his nails, and wild animals are all quadrupeds are situated in the belt zone of the Lord.
Okay.
So that's why killing quadrupeds is higher karma because it is a more advanced animal. Right? Horse, mule, camel, and
Right.
elephant are his nails.
Yes.
Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of mankind, is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humanity is his residence. The celestial species of human beings like Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charnas, and angels all represent his musical rhythm. Demoniac soldiers are representation of his wonderful prowess. I mean, the demons also come from him, so those are also his emanations of his vibhutis, literally. The
Yes, Prabhuji.
Virata Purusha's face is the Brahmanas, armies are Kshatriyas, thighs are Vaishyas, and the Shudras are under the protection of his
Feet.
feet. All worshipable demigods are also overtaken by him, and it is duty of everyone to perform sacrifices with feasible goods to appease the Lord. Yes, our job is to perform sacrifice with feasible goods means whatever we are able to do. Best is in Sankirtan Yajna. Go stand in front of a store and chant Hare Krishna and distribute books. I
Yes.
have thus explained to you the gross material gigantic conception. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form because there is nothing more in the material world. One should concentrate his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations. Just as ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. Like we dream, right? Not all of it is true. But in this case, the Supreme Lord, when He distributes, all His manifestations are actually true. One
Uh,
must concentrate the mind on Him, the only blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. That is probably why he didn't count the mind in those 8 items.
Concentrate on his mind
Yeah,
on
the
him.
mind has to meditate on all these topics, right? So the mind is outside that system.
I
Anyway,
see.
in some cases, the mind is considered part of the system
Right.
in Bhagavad Gita, but here, for some reason, it is considered outside. Okay, Lord in the heart. Srila Sukdev Goswami said, formerly prior to manifestation of cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. That's when he wrote the Brahma Samhita. Thus, we were able to rebuild the creation as it was before. So, the creation, according to Bhagavatam, is like a template. So, Brahmaji takes the template and he will also create it again. Like 7 planetary systems above, 6 planetary systems below the earthly realm, like that. The template is always the same.
Okay.
The way of
Why?
presentation of Vedic sounds is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of people to meaningless things like heavenly kingdoms. So we are worried about what will happen to my Lexus. But here, even heaven is considered a meaningless thing. The conditioned souls hover in dreams of such heavenly illusory pleasures, but actually they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places. So people go to heaven, but still they are not happy there. For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of names, which is our world, just for minimum necessities. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for
Hmm.
nothing, which is Shrama Evahi
Okay. Well,
Kevalam. Right?
right.
So, each one of these lines Srila Prabhupada uses in other places too. In this verse, there is no Shrama Evahi Kevalam, but in his translation, he says
Link
hard
it to.
labor for nothing. So, what Prabhupada does is he weaves one verse with the other verse. And then when there's ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessary of cots and beds? Right? We want to buy an expensive cot and put a bed on it. But Srimad Bhagavatam's point is, can you not just sleep on earth?
Ah.
What
Yes.
one can use his own arms, the necessity of a pillow. When one can use the palms of his hands, what is the necessity of variety of utensils? When there is ample covering or skins of trees, what is the necessity of clothing? Of course, this may seem a little extreme, but for preaching purposes, we need to have lot of other things that we have, right? For cooking for the Lord, we have elaborate dishes and elaborate prasadam and all that.
Right.
And then rhetorical question, are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer gives alms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard earned wealth? So we should not get intoxicated by other people's wealth. We should just give them the knowledge and get out because we are in that parampara of sages.
So I didn't understand this. Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated
Yeah.
by?
So learned sages, what do they do? Sometimes, not all of them. Some of them, they'll just go to the kings and start praising them, right? Oh, you are the king of this planet, you are king of this kingdom. So Sukdev Goswami's point is, why do you have to flatter the people who are rich? It's not necessary.
Uh,
Because these sages, they go and flatter so that they can get some dakshina, right?
I see.
So the
Right.
point is, can you not just use used clothes? There are so many rivers you can drink from there, right?
Correct.
And Lord is providing for all the surrendered souls, so you don't have to do it. That's the rhetorical point.
Makes sense.
Thus, being fixed, one must render service unto super soul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency. because he is the Almighty Personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and worshipping him one can end the cause of conditioned state of existence. So we are all conditioned to get out of. He is the ultimate goal. Who else but the gross materialist will neglect such transcendental thought? So a gross materialist will say, it is not necessary. But others, to a certain degree, they will understand the transcendental thought. Seeing the mass of people fallen in the river of suffering as a consequence of accruing the result of their own work. So based on
Okay.
our karma, we are getting our suffering. Others conceive personality of Godhead residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches, with 4 hands carrying lotus, wheel of chariot, a conch shell, and a club respectively. So Paramatma size is given here. He is 8 inches.
How
He
is
is
it
there in our heart
others
area.
confused in the body in the
Huh?
it is the size of the heart. 8 inches?
No, it is size of Paramatma. A heart can be 4 inches to 8 inches depending upon size of your body, right?
Right, right. Okay, okay, okay. That's also true. And
So Paramatma is 8 inches. He is not small. In our body, he is there.
I see the Jivatma is 1/10,000th of the tips of the hair,
Right.
and Paramatma is 8 inches.
8 inches according to this shloka.
Okay, okay. I see. Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually coming home.
Yeah, that's why Srimad
Okay,
Bhagavatam.
that's
Srimad
true.
Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parerishvaraha. His mouth expresses happiness, eyes spread like petal of lotus, garments yellowish and like saffron of kadamba flower, bedecked with various jewels. His ornaments are all made of gold, set with jewels, and he wears a glowing headdress and earrings. Right? So, ornaments, Kavacha Kundala. He has like jewels on his chest. His helmet is of solid gold, and he wears earrings. So, wherever you see the picture of the Lord, some poster, you should see that he has earrings. He cannot be without earrings.
Right.
His lotus feet are placed over the bowls of lotus like hearts of great mystics. Right? Mama mana mandire rahanishidin Krishna Murari. Sri
Shri
Krishna Murari. So on our lotus like heart, we need to have his feet placed.
Krishna.
On his chest is the Kaustuba jewel, engraved with beautiful calf, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. His complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers. Vaijantimala, Gale Sohe Vaijantimala, some of these songs, right? Acharya's songs.
Right.
So Krishna
Yeah.
always wears a Vaijantimala.
Rajantimala.
He is well decorated with ornamental wreath about his waist.
Skamali, right?
Right? So there is like an arrangement of flowers on his waist. Rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. So there are jewels, gold, and flowers on his body. His fingers, his leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair. We should also oil our hair, right? Normally we leave it like,
Yeah, myself. Yeah.
yeah, we all do that. But here you see, he oils his hair, curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smile face are all very
Please.
pleasing. The Lord's magnanimous pastimes and the glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation.
Meditation.
The process of meditation should become from the lotus feet, progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and this higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon different parts of the limbs, one after the other, the more the intelligence becomes purified. So here's the secret. People ask, Prabhuji or Maharaj, how do we purify ourselves? So here it is, secret is given.
Right.
We should meditate
Concentrate
on the
upon the
limbs of the Lord. Unless the gross materialist develops a sense of loving service to Supreme Lord, seer of both the transcendental and material worlds, he should remember or meditate upon the universal form of the Lord at the end of his prescribed duties. So, the goal is by the time you come to Vanaprastha, you should be fully meditating on the form of the Lord. But
Right.
why not do it early, right? Why not do it today? Why do you want to wait till the that stage?
Yes, Praji.
O king, wherever the yogi desires to leave the planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about proper time or place. Some people say, I'll have a particular muhurtam and then I'll leave my body. No. But should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air, should control the senses by the mind. So it's all about life air control, senses by the mind, controlling the senses. Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into living entity, and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in supreme stage of satisfaction. So he ceases from all activities. This is for the Ashtanga yogi. For the devotee, you just chant Hare Krishna, right?
This
Continuously.
is the one who merges in the Brahma Jyoti, right?
Yeah,
The,
this is for the one who merges in the Brahmajyoti. But for devotee, will even go higher
right.
to the Bhagavan state. In that transcendental state of Labdho Pashanti, there is no supremacy of devastating time, means time stops, which controls the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. And what to speak of demigods themselves? Nor is there the mode of material goodness, nor passion, nor ignorance,
Mm.
nor even the false ego, nor the material causal ocean, nor the material nature. So you
So,
transcend all matter basically in that
mm,
transcendental state.
it's a state of Brahma Jyoti.
Yeah,
Okay.
by the time you come to Brahmajyoti, your material nature is gone. But then
Is
there's
one.
no love in Brahmajyoti, right?
Correct.
So we have to have that Satchid Ananda. So Sat
Yeah,
and Chit you get in Brahmajyoti, but Ananda you have to transcend it and then go even higher
that's
to the
right.
personal worship service of the Lord. The transcendental desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with Supreme Lord Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexity, but worships
The lotus feet of
the
the
lotus
Lord
of the
at
feet at
every
every
moment,
moment.
taking them into his heart.
Yes. So you have to take the lotus feet into your heart. Few verses earlier it said, on the walls of your lotus of the heart, you keep the Lord. Right? So in our man means actually heart. People say brain. No, it is actually heart.
Heart.
And then you keep him there and you lock him there basically. You say, my Lord, don't leave me now.
Please stay.
By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and is able to extinguish all material desires. One should give up the material body by blocking the air hole through this which stool is evacuated. So basically, Mooladhara, chakra, you shut it like you suck it inside. When you sit in Padmasan, you suck that rear part inside. And then you put the heel in that junction. Right? So there is a process. There's a process of Ashtanga Yoga. But we
Okay.
don't get into all that. What do? We just chant Hare Krishna at the time of death. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate, means joint of the tongue with your body in the inside. He should search out proper places with intelligence. So basically, what's happening? The life air is moving from the
From the
Muladhara
navel
chakra
to
to other chakras, and then it's finally coming to the throat area, root of the palate. Then what do? Push life air between the two eyebrows, blocking the seven outlets of life air. He should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. At that point, if he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections. So at that point, the soul leaves the body. So, how do we live? Between the eyebrows.
Yeah.
You block ears, nostrils, mouth.
Guruji, this I mean, if a bhakti yogi, does he? I mean, yeah, this is specifically written bhakti yogi, but I mean, how much control do we have? To,
How much control do you have? So, if you practice from
we
now
can
on, you'll
only
have control. Otherwise, you won't. See, for the Bhakti Yogi, Krishna says, I will take you.
remember.
Right? So, if you forget, he will somehow arrange for you to remember. Like sometimes devotees die, are leaving their body. At that time, some kirtan party comes to their home and they start singing loudly.
Right.
So if you practice all your life, at the time of death, Krishna will somehow arrange for you to remember him. It's not like he'll just test you, saying, "Oh, will you remember me now?" No, he will arrange for some situation, right? Even in our lifetime, so many times we see. Sometimes we are very down. Some devotee will come say, "Oh, I went to Mayapur. Here's the prasadam," like that.
Yes.
There's always somebody rescuing us. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyment, like most of us, like transference to topmost planet like Brahmaloka, or achieving the Ashtasiddhi, eightfold perfections, or travel in outer space like Narada Muni, or with the Vaihasas, or situation in one of the millions of planets. Oh, maybe I should enjoy nice jewelry, nice wealth. Then you'll be sent to that kind of enjoyment planet.
Mm.
Then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses. So that's the challenge. We all get attracted to material enjoyments. All of us. There's nobody, no exception. So as it is said, when we die, we first go through like this earth, water, fire, air, ether, the outer coverings of the universe, and then we go through all these beautiful heavenly planets. And the moment you say, "Oh, I like this, it looks very nice," then you'll get stuck there. You'll not go any further higher. You should say,
Mm.
all this is boring. No, no, I want to meet my father Krishna. All these beautiful diamonds and all this gold and all these attractive things. I don't care about that. If we come to that consciousness, then we'll go to the higher realm. Otherwise,
Right.
it's a
You get
trap
stuck.
basically. It's a big trap. Even this material world, even Dallas is a big trap for us. There's so many attractive things.
Yeah.
So we have to see. The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by strength of their devotional service, austerity, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. So, once we are transcendental to matter and are fixed in devotion, then you can travel to any planet like Narada Muni, both within and beyond the material world. However, the normal people, fruitive workers, karmakandis, materialists can never move in such an unrestricted manner because their karma is going to put a limit on their mobility. You can only do so much. O
Right.
king, when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way, now we are talking about liberation, right? So you cross the Milky Way, go to Shushumna Nadi, reach the highest planet Brahmaloka. He goes first to Vaishvanara, the planet of the deity of fire. There's a verse also in Bhagavad Gita, right? Aham Vaishvanara, like that.
I don't particularly remember that project.
Yeah. Wherein
So,
he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations and still goes higher to the circle of Shishumara, Shishumara Chakra, to relate with Lord Hari. So, how many things have to do? We have to pass through all these attractive heavenly planets, go through the Milky Way, reach Sushumna realm. From
right.
there, go to circle of Shishumara and then meet Hari. It's very easy to say Hari Bol, but we have to go meet with Hari there. This Shishumara is the pivot for turning of the complete universe. So it is basically like the central point, axle. And it's called
Hmm.
the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
Oh,
So now we are talking about universal size things, right? Huge. The whole
correct.
universe is rotating around the navel of Bhagwan Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond the circle of Shishumara and attains the planet Maharloka. So not everybody goes. Even to go to Maharloka, forget going to spiritual world. What are we doing? We have to transcend that. Where
Hmm.
purified saints like Bhrigu enjoy a duration of one of Brahma's days. 4.3 million is 4.3 billion is one
One
day of
Brahma.
Brahma. This planet is worshipable even for saints who are transcendently situated. At the time of final devastation of the complete universe, the end of Brahma's life, a flame of fire emanates from Mount of Ananta. Ananta Shesh is there down at the bottom of the universe in the Garbhodaka waters. So that fire comes out. The yogi sees all planets of universe burning to ashes. Right? In California fire, people start crying, oh, my $10 million mansion in Los Angeles got burnt like that. But here the whole universe is burning
Right.
to ashes. And thus he leaves for Satyaloka by airplanes used by great purified souls. So a selected set of people will get special airplanes and they'll go higher. Duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be, you cannot even count.
Yeah.
Units, tens, hundreds, thousand, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 million, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion. So 15 trillion years. So here we are worried about oh, 2024, 2025, like that, 1 year at a time. Think about that, 15 trillion years.
Correct.
In the planet of Satyaloka, there is neither bereavement nor old age nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. So once in a while, people from Satyaloka,
Hmm.
they'll say, oh, I feel compassion for all these fools and rascals in planet Earth. Let me go there and preach. Sometimes.
Prabhuji, I had a question.
Yeah.
So, during full or partial dissolution, the upper planetary systems, do they still remain? Only the lower planetary systems,
Yeah, but
including the
you just
upper.
heard here, right? What happens? They take Satyaloka. Only Satyaloka remains for a little while, and Brahma takes all the Satyaloka inhabitants, and then he goes into the higher realm to Vaikunta.
Okay.
See, that is the traditional process, ascending planet by planet. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is such that if you chant the Hare Krishna sincerely, you can bypass all this and go back to Goloka. But sincerely is the key word, which is something that I am unable to do.
That's me,
Yeah.
Prabhuji,
So
particularly.
all this can be bypassed if you follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process. But still, you'll go through this, because you have to have that learning. So one step at a time, most of us will ascend to these planets, and or when you are in
Hmm.
Saptiloka, you will feel compassionate for the souls who are in the material world, and you decide to come down just to teach people devotional service, something like that. Okay, after reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtle body in an identity similar to that of gross body. So he'll still be 5 foot 5 inches tall, and he'll be
Right.
doing service to the Lord in a subtle body, not in a gross body. And one after the other, he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to water, water to fire, fire to air, until he reaches ethereal stage. See, to go to Vaikuntha, you cannot go with even subtle body. You have to give that up also.
Right.
The devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing forms, touch by contacting, vibrations of ears by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities. So now we are leaving the material world, we are going higher. The devotee thus surpasses the gross and subtle forms of coverings, enters the planes of egoism, and in that state he merges with material modes of nature, ignorance, and passion. In this point of neutralization, and thus reaches egoism in goodness. After this, all egoism is merged in the Mahatattva. Now, even egoism is going away. Right? Mind and intelligence, you left it. You became ethereal and then you moved higher. And now ego is also merging. He comes to the point of pure self realization. Now, you know why self realization is so difficult?
Yeah.
Most of our self realization is just coming to Radha Kalachanji. But if you think of this, you are merging your senses, you're merging your mind and intelligence. Finally, you're merging your false ego, becoming ethereal, and then
Then through
realizing
the
your
ego goes.
Aham Brahmasmi, I am the spirit soul servant of Krishna. So we have long way to go. Dilli Dur Ast. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with personality of Godhead in complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never attracted by material world and he never returns. So he went back to Godhead.
Hmm.
Complete bliss and satisfaction. So Satchit Ananda. Then Sukdev says, Your Majesty Maharaj Parikshit, know that all I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to version of the Vedas and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly
Properly
worshipped.
worship.
So when did Lord describe this? When Brahma properly worshipped.
Right.
So we also need to properly worship. We are not doing that. Right? Now you know why we need to read second canto. It shows where we are. We are getting initiated, but long way to go.
Yes, sir.
Right? We are still struggling. Hey, my roof is not working. My plumbing in the bathroom is broken.
Yes.
We are in that consciousness right now.
True, true.
For
Yes,
those
yes.
who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed in at the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. The great personality Brahma, with great attention concentration in the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times. So, how many times should we study?
3 times.
3 times. Second canto, how many times will you study? 3 times. After initiation, you can study 2 more times. And after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that the attraction for Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. So, what is highest perfection of religion?
Is getting attraction to the Lord.
Attraction. So, right now, my heart is like a desert. I don't have any attraction for Krishna. But this is the standard. Study the Vedas 3 times, examine them scrutinizingly, develop attraction to Krishna.
Sure.
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. So Paramatma follows the Jivatma. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from buddhi, intelligence. O king, it is therefore essential every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, always and everywhere. Those who drink through the oral reception, oral means through the ears,
Right.
fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life, known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him.
Mm.
Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Right? So, text 36, this is another good memorization verse. Tasmat sarvatmarajan Hari sarvatra sarvada Shrotavyah kirtavyascha Smartavyo Bhagavan Rinam.
Prabhuji, I have so I have a very very bad memory. I am generally unable to remember any verses.
That's why you have Veda base. You can read again and again.
This was it.
See, at the beginning of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva wrote all this because memories are going to dogs.
Right.
Previously, the Guru used to recite and the Shishya used to repeat it like 10, 12, 15 times, and then they would just commit it to memory.
Right.
Now that's why we have books, we have websites, laptops. It's not advancement, it is actually going the other way, right? Why do we need all these things? Because we cannot remember.
This was
Okay, Sri Sukdev Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, as you inquired from me, as to the duty of intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you. One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti should worship the master of Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brihaspati. One who desires powerful sex should worship heavenly King Indra. One who desires good progeny, Prajapatis. Good fortune, Durga Devi. One
mm.
desiring to be very powerful, worship fire, Agni Dev. One who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnation of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stocks of grain should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain heavenly planets should worship sons of Aditi. One who desires worldly kingdom, Vishwadeva. Popular with general mass, Sadhya demigod. Long span of life, Ashwini Kumaras. Strong built body, Earth. Stability in his post, horizon and the earth combined. Like in Sandhya Vandanam, you look at the horizon and the earth, and then you offer water, right? So that's what, I mean, we were supposed to. We don't do that in Dallas, but if you are on the bank of Ganges, that's what you would do. One who desires be beautiful should worship beautiful residents of Gandharva planet. Good wife should worship Apsaras. Now you don't do that, you already have a wife. And
Mm.
Urvasi society girls of the heavenly kingdom. Domination over others should worship Brahma. Tangible fame should worship personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And one who decides good bank balance, worship demigod Varuna, because water and money are considered similar.
Oh.
Desires to be greatly learned man should worship Lord Shiva. And one desires good marital relationship would worship wife of Lord Shiva, goddess Uma, Parvati.
Mm.
Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadev Ki Jai. So now you know. It's not like if you buy a ticket to Denver, you'll go to New York. Different
Yeah.
results means different activities. But ultimately, all this is a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. So you have to worship the Supreme Lord and go back to His kingdom. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of the hereditary and advancement of dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. So, for your kids, for advancement of your Vamsha, Sutapa Vamsha, you should worship Devatas. One who
Prabhuji,
desires.
what is specifically you said Sutapa Pamsha?
Your last name
Doesn't
is Sutapa, right?
no Prabhuji, that's my mother's name. It's
Oh, okay,
it's
okay.
it's
Anyway, whatever
ah,
Vamsha you are in.
okay. I see. Got it. Got
One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. Victory over anyone, worship the demons.
it. Hmm.
Sense gratification, worship the moon. Who desires nothing of material enjoyment, worship Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is what we should worship. So we want, actually we are pretty greedy. We want something even higher than all these things. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole. Everybody else is a part. This is the supreme whole. So these are another good verse to memorize. Akama sarva kamo
Well,
va moksha
moksha
kama
kama
udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yejeta purusham param. All the different kinds of worshippers of multi demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon Supreme Personality of Godhead only by association of the pure devotee of the Lord. That's why we should associate with pure devotees like Guru Maharaj and so many other Prabhupada's disciples like that. Right? When you do that, you get the benediction. Transcendental knowledge in relation with Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of material worlds. Material modes are attacking us. They're like whirlpool.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to go to the temple. Something else comes. You'll just get sucked in the whirlpool and you won't go to the temple. Or you want to go to the farm and some wave, tarangi will come. And then you'll say, oh, maybe today I won't go to the farm. Like that.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Such knowledge is self satisfying due to its being free from material attachment
That's
and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? It's a rhetorical question again.
hmm.
Sauraka said, the son of Vyasadeva, Sukadev Goswami, was a highly learned sage. So Saunaka Muni is teaching in Namisharanya to a set of sages. What is he
Yes.
teaching? He is teaching that Srila Sukadev Goswami is talking to King Parikshit. So it
Right.
is being related twice.
Yeah.
Was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said?
Right.
He is saying, O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics because we are all eager to hear. Besides that topic which result in discussion of Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of family deity. Sukdev Goswami, who was full in
Yes. But
transcendental knowledge, was a great devotee of Lord Krishna too. So there must have been a discussion of Lord Krishna who is glorified by great philosopher in the company of great devotees. So both of them are devotees. Parikshit is a devotee. Sukdev is a devotee. But Sukdev is obviously in a higher plane. He is giving more of the Suka Mukha Galitam Phalam, right? No? When the same fruit was recited by Suk
that
Goswami, it
parrot
became more
also.
sweet. It became
Yeah.
more sweet. Yeah. Like a parrot, yes. Parrot, it eats
The
jamun and it
sweetest.
becomes tastier.
Yeah.
Both by rising and by setting, sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. Right, this is another verse to be memorized. Beautiful. I have a book somewhere which are all the verses to be memorized. I'll see if I can find it. Ayurharati Vaipum Sham
Ayurharati Vaipum Sam
Udyanastamam
Udyan
Chayanasau
Udyanastang Cha Yan Asau
Tasyarte Yat Kshanonita
तस्यार्थे यक्षणो नीता
उत्तमश्लोकावर्तय.
उत्तमश्लोकवार्तया.
So then one more rhetorical question. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of blacksmith not breathe? All around house, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? So all these things are going on. So what's so great about just living, right? Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Which means we should not praise like great people, so-called great people like Trump or Elon Musk or something like that, right?
Right.
Because they never listen to the transcendental pastimes.
Yes.
One who has not listened to the message about prowess and marvelous acts of personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and tongue like tongue of frog. So frog, what is it? Quack, quack, quack. It says like that, and snake will come and eat it. So that kind of tongue is actually bad. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can
Hmm.
award mukti.
True.
Like I think it was Pankaj Udas or one of the other singers, he has sang a song, right? वो क्या सर है जो प्रभु के चरणों में ना झुके. It has to be cut off like that.
Yeah, I think yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
something.
when I was young, I used to read to those. That's like pseudo devotion, right? You just listen to those songs and think you are a great devotee.
Yeah.
And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man, if not engaged in the service of personality of Godhead Hari. The eyes, which do not look at the symbolic representation of personality of Godhead Vishnu, his forms, names, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of a peacock. Peacock also has eyes, but they cannot see.
Hmm.
And the legs, which do not move to the holy places where Lord is remembered, are considered like tree trunks. Trees don't move. The
Yeah.
person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. Right? So, after any sage walks, then you have to take the dust from the ground where they walked and put on your head.
Yes.
But the person who has never experienced the aroma of tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Certainly, that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of chanting of the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and hair stand on end. It's like all of our hearts, steel framed. Nice term, like steel. O Sutta Goswami, Parikshit says, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Sukha, Sukdev Goswami. No, so this is not Parikshit. This is the audience that is listening to Sutta Goswami are saying. Explain the same way
Right.
Sukdev explained to Parikshit.
Yes. Ruji, do you want me to read
Yeah.
the? Okay. Chapter 4, The Process of Creation. Text 1. Uh, Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. O great sages, the great soul Maharaj Parikshit constantly wrapped in through In thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me. Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. Hmm.
I beg to know.
I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player. O learned Brahman, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one whether He alone acts with the modes of material nature or simultaneously expands in many forms or expands consecutively to direct the modes of nature.
So this is interesting, right? So the Lord expands consecutively to direct the modes of nature, like from Krishna, then if the first Chatur, from there
Interview.
to the
Good.
Rama level, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's level, and then coming to expand as various Karnodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, then come into the material world. So consequently is expanding to direct the modes of nature for our purpose. Very important point there. Okay.
Kindly clear up all these doubtful inquiries because you are not only vastly learned in the Vedic literatures and self realized in transcendence, but are also a great devotee of the Lord and are therefore as good as the personality of Godhead. Sutta Goswami said, when Sukadev Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energies of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly he spoke thus. Sukadev Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the he is a complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable. So why does he say that he is accepting the three modes of nature? Isn't he creating those three modes of nature in the very first place?
Well, he created them, but he accepted them. But at the same time, he's above the three modes. So it is a little bit of achintya. Very difficult to understand that part.
Okay, right,
But although he accepts the three modes of material nature when he comes down and descends, at the same time, he's never affected by them.
right.
So,
Yes,
I mean, it appears he accepts, but he's never touched by them.
correct.
He descends, but at the same time, he never leaves the spiritual world. So, very difficult to understand these things.
Yeah. I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-believers. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and who is always a problem for the non devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable.
Mm.
Let, let me offer
So
my
if
respect.
you see this, right? First he is offering obeisances, right? Offer my
Yeah,
respectful obeisances. Offer my respectful obeisances. Offer my respectful obeisances. Normally, when somebody asks a question, what do? We immediately give the answer. But did Sukdev Goswami do that?
no,
He offers his obeisance to the Lord. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 times he offers the obeisances, right? Till text 17. Before
right,
he gives the answer.
yeah,
And then he talks about Kiratahunandra Puninda Pulkasha. Let's go to that verse.
that's it.
Kiratahunandra Pulinda Pulkasha. Yavana Kashadaya.
आभीरशोभायवनाकान्दया
Ye anye cha papa yada prasasraya. Sudyanti
शुद्धन्ति
tasmai Brahma
तस्मै
Vishnave namaha. So, Sudyanti, somebody who purifies all of them, I offer my respectful obeisances. So, this is the seventh time he's offering. Okay? And then what does he say? He is the super soul and supreme lord of all self realized souls. He is the personification of Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme be pleased with me. This is also offering obeisances, eighth time, right?
right,
And then text 20, the ninth time. He's saying, make Lord Krishna as worshipful Lord of all devotees, the protector of glory of all kings, like Andaka and Vrishni, husband of goddess of fortune, director of all sacrifices, leader of living entities, controller of intelligence, proprietor of planets, spiritual and material, supreme incarnation, be merciful. So that's the ninth time he is praying. And then he talks about Krishna who gives liberation. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May that Lord be peace. Tenth time, right? Then
yeah,
he talks about creation amplified by potent knowledge of Brahma, that Lord be pleased with me. 11th time, right? And then 12th time, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the bodies of elements of created bodies of elements by lying down within the universe, like Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, no, Karnodakshaya Vishnu, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to 16 visions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. Again, he's glorifying the Lord. That Lord will will make me speak good statements, right? Decorate my statements. The 12th time. So if you see, all this is nothing but glorification of the Lord.
right,
He's not directly answering the question. He's not directly saying anything. He's just glorifying. I offered my respectful obeisances 13th time to Srila Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation of Vasudeva and compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink the nectarian transcendental knowledge, dropping from the lotus like mouth of the Lord. Okay? So that's 14 times he offers. 13 or 14. Anyway, the whole
yeah,
thing is just glorifying. Then he says, my dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on the subject that has been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very
birds.
birth. Narada Muni ki jai, Brahma ji ki jai, Vyasadev ki jai,
Yeah,
Bhagavan Krishna ki jai. So,
yeah.
what do you do whenever somebody asks a question? Don't jump into the answer, but we should
Glorify
first
them.
glorify the Lord. Sarva Karana Karanam, cause of all causes.
Causes. Can
In
I read Prabhuji now?
yes, Mataji, please read.
Sri Narad Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief amongst the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs one to the truth of the individual soul and the super soul. My dear father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is the background? How is it created? How it is conversed? And what whose control it is all this being done? My dear father, all this is known to you scientifically, because whatever was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, or whatever is being created at present, as well as everything within the universe, is within your grip, just like a walnut. My dear father, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing? And under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy? As the spider very easily creates the network of its cobweb and manifests its power of creation without being defeated by others, so also you yourself, by employment of your self sufficient energy, create without any other's help. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics, and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal, or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. Yet we are moved to wonder about the existence of someone more powerful than you when we think of your great austerities in perfect discipline, although your good self is so powerful in the matter of creation. My dear Father, you know everything and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me so that I may be able to understand it as your student. Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Narada, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead. Whatever you have spoken about me is not false, because unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities. I create after the Lord's creation by his personal effulgence, known as the Brahma Jyoti. Just as when the sun manifests its fire, the moon, the firmament, the influential planets, and the twinkling stars also manifest their brightness. I offer my obeisances and meditate upon Lord Krishna, Vasudev, the personality of Godhead whose invincible potency influences them, the less intelligent class of men, to call me the supreme controller. The illusionary energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position, but those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of it is I and it is mine. The five elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead, Vasudev, and in truth, there is no other value in them. The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord. As parts of his body, the different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. All different types of meditation or mysticism are means for realizing Narayan. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayan. Culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse of Narayan, and ultimately salvation is entering in the kingdom of Narayana. Inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayana, under his vision as all pervading super soul, and I also am created by him only. The Supreme Lord is pure, spiritual form, transcendental to all material qualities, yet for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, it accepts through his
He accepts.
he accepts through his external energy, the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. These three modes of material nature, being further manifested as matter, knowledge, and activities, put the eternally transcendental living entity under conditions of cause and effect and make him responsible for such activities. O Brahman Narad, the super seer, the transcendent Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above mentioned three modes of nature. but he is the controller of everyone, including me. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates his own potency, eternal time, the fate of all living entities, and their particular nature, for which they were created, and he again merges them independently. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karna, Karnavayashi Vishnu, the Mahatattva or the principles of material creation take place, and then time is manifested, and in course of time the three qualities appear. Nature means the three qualitative appearances they transform into activities. Material activities are caused by the Mahatattva beings agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter is knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play. The self centered materialistic ego, thus being transformed into three features, becomes known as the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance in three divisions, namely the powers that evolve matter, knowledge of matter creations, and the intelligence that guides such materialistic activities. Narad, you are quite competent to understand this. From the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements, namely the sky, is generated. Its subtle form is the quality of sound, exactly as the seer is in relationship with the seen. Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch, and by previous succession, the air is also full of sound. And the basic principle of duration of life, sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's course, fire is generated, taking shape with the sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water full of juice and taste. As previously, it has also form and touch and is also full of sound. And water being transformed full of variegatedness on earth appears odors and as previously becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound and form respectively.
Yeah,
From
let's pause here. Let's pause here,
yes,
right? Because there's a lot of good information here.
right.
Um, Material activities are caused by Mahatatvas being agitated. So initially there was Mahatattva created in the
Okay.
cosmos. At first there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion. Later, due to mode of ignorance, matter comes. So matter is actually mode of ignorance. Knowledge of the matter is mode of ignorance, and different activities of material knowledge. Like how do we exploit this matter? That's what we are doing, right? We are converting everything into a product, selling to each other. So that exploitation is continuing.
Right.
Then this materialistic ego, the original ego is not materialistic, but the materialistic ego transforms into three features. What is that? Sattva, Rajas,
Something
and
just sounds
Tamas. Right? Namely, the powers that evolve matter. So these three things, what do? They change, they transform matter. And the knowledge of the material creations and the intelligence that guides such materialistic activities.
Mm.
From this darkness of false ego, first what happens? Ether is generated, sky. Its
Right.
subtle form is the quality of sound. So at that point, there is only sound, there is nothing else. And then sky is transformed. What happens? Air is generated. So because of air, you can touch. If there is no air, right? So if I put my hand on the laptop, I cannot touch anything because there is no air. Therefore, in order to give the perception of touch, you need air. From air, what comes?
Water.
Fire.
Oh,
fire.
sorry.
Yeah,
Fire.
yeah, here it is there, right? Air is transformed,
Air
fire
is
is
Yeah.
transformed
generated.
into course of time. Fire is generated.
So now what happens? Sense of touch, shape, touch, and sound. All three are there. Fire is transformed into water. Water has rasogandham, so juice and taste. So now all four are there, right? Touch, sound, shape, and taste. And water being transformed, odorous. So now what happens? Touch,
Mm.
taste, sound, form, everything comes into picture. So at the time of liberation, what happens? We have to go in the opposite direction. First, we give
Yeah.
up water,
Mm-hmm.
then we give up fire,
Fire.
then we give up air, then we give up ether. Then we read in the previous verse, remember, as we go higher and higher, then you give up mind and intelligence. Then you give up the false ego.
So
Then comes our real
what is the case of
self-realization.
uh, the earth? Like the earth is made of earth is finally made of water, right? Sorry, I mean water creates
Yeah, think of
solid,
it
right?
as subtle to gross. Subtle is ether. Little less subtle is air. Little less subtle is fire. Little less subtle is water. And by the time it comes becomes earth, it is pretty gross, right? It's like very
Mhm.
solid.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and then now we are all attracted to this solid thing. This is my bed, this is my car, this is that. And that's why the soul, even though it is very subtle, gets trapped in the gross matter.
Makes sense.
Okay, continue, Mataji. 30.
Yes,
Yes.
এখানে
Prabhuji,
চার্জার আছে এই তো চার্জিং পয়েন্ট এখানে আছে
Prabhu, my battery is running low. Give me 1 second, Prabhuji.
Just
I
one.
have to disconnect the charger from one place. এখানে পুরো setup আছে actually.
আচ্ছা আমাকে একটা চেয়ার এনে দাও আমি আসছি
Give me 1 second, Prabhuji.
I will continue ক্যামেরা অফ করে করো ক্যামেরা
ঠিক আছে। On.
Scroll karo. From the mode of goodness, and the mind is generated and becomes manifest, as also the 10 demigods controlling the bodily movements. Such demigods are known as the controller of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Daksha Prajapati, the Ashwini Kumar Ras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deity in heaven, the chief of the Adityas, and Brahmaji, the Prajapati, all come into existence. By further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlet for evacuating together with intelligence and living energy are all generated. O Narad, best of the transcendentalists, the forms of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled. Thus, when all these becomes assembled by force of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this universe certainly came into being by accepting both the primary and the secondary causes of creation. Thus, all the universes remained thousands of aeons within the water, the casual ocean, and the Lord of living beings entering in each of them caused them to be fully animated. The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in the casual ocean, came
Awesome.
out of it and dividing himself as Hiranya Garbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat roop with thousands of leg, arm, mouths, heads, etc. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. The Brahmanas represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arm, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudras are born of his legs. The lower planetary systems, up to the limit of the earthly stratum, are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from
Navel.
Bhuvarloka, are situated in his navel. All and the still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord. From the forefront of the chest up to the neck of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary systems named Janaloka and Tapaloka, whereas Satyaloka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. The spiritual planets, however, are eternal. My dear son Narad, know from me that there are 7 lower planetary systems out of the total 14. The first planetary system, known as Atal, is situated on the waist, the second, Vital, is situated on the thigh, and the third, Sutal, on the knees, and the fourth, Talatal on the shanks, and the fifth Mahatal on the ankles, the sixth Rasasthal on the upper
That's all.
portion, Rasas on the upper portion of the feet, and the seventh Patal on the soles of the feet. Thus, the Virat form of the Lord is full of planetary systems. Others may divide the whole planetary system into three divisions, namely the lower planetary system on the legs up to the earth, and the middle planetary systems on the navel, and the upper planetary systems Swarloka on the from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality.
Yeah. So basically, again, we are talking a lot about the universal form of the Lord and where the various planetary systems are um, located. So we are not talking about planets, but planetary systems. So these are like one realm over the other, 14 levels that are there. So this verse or this chapter talks about the creation, and the first 10 or 12 verses, no, first 9 verses, 8 verses, Narada Muni is asking his father, "You are so great, you explain how you created." And then from 10 on down, Brahmaji is saying, "No, I am not special. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Yeah.
Krishna, that creates all of this." And then how material activities are created, how mode of goodness, passion, ignorance come, and how, because of ignorance, various materialistic activities start, and how, due to passion, various senses like ears, nose, eyes come. From goodness come all these different devatas like Brahma and so on. Brahma himself comes from goodness. So he's reciting all of that. So this basically talks about creation again. So we went through 5 chapters, and what did we do? We covered basically creation, right? All of this is creation.
Yes.
So one, two, three, four, five. Five more, and then you're done. Ready for initiation.
Yes,
Okay,
Guruji.
should we meet tomorrow then?
Yes.
Sure, Guruji. Bro, what do I tell? Like, what what should I discuss with Vishnu Chitta Prabhu?
Tell him that I'm studying with Radhika Gopinath Prabhu. We have a study group and we are covering Canto 2.
Okay, sure, Guruji. I'll I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Okay,
See,
Guruji.
Srila Prabhupada has made it so simple for us to understand all this. You don't have to learn Sanskrit, so
True.
many things. It's all there.
Thank you so much, Guruji. I was almost thinking that I'll to be able to read cover to cover and all that
Yeah,
before
you will
this
read cover to cover, as I said, right? How many times did Brahma say we should read this?
three.
3 times. So you will read cover to cover. But that will happen maybe the week after initiation.
Right,
Oh,
right.
oh.
Or you can still read it, right? I mean, basically, today is Monday. You have 10 more days before initiation. So you're still going to read.
Right.
You can probably read cover to cover after we finish the remaining 5 chapters.
Makes sense.
Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.